Playing tabletop RPGs is a big passion of mine. I have many hobbies, such as playing music, drawing, playing games, cooking, and sometimes I tend to take these hobbies, more seriously than I should, which to some extent is a good thing, since most of my hobbies are things that I could really work with, like earning real money from them. But of course, there are exceptions. One of them is, as I said, playing tabletop RPGs. A lot of times I put way too much work into the RPGs I master, making complete soundtracks and even art for them, for things that are not even going to be posted, so just seen by friends. Really a lot of work put into the trash. But then I was thinking, hey, I have a YouTube channel right now. What if I make a video about some of these RPGs I never finished and turn them into a fun to watch small video? Would be awesome, I have so many fans. It's probably going to become a series of a couple episodes on this channel, like each one of them are telling a different story on a different universe of those RPGs I mastered. And the first one chosen is Abyss the RPG. Hey, quick note here. This video is longer than usual and took way much effort to make, so please leave a like and a comment. Share this video where you can. I'm being serious, this is just a generic YouTuber warning. I'm a beginner and blah 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 blah, you all know it. Have you ever questioned yourself on what happens after death? How all the actions you took during your life would affect in whatever is next? Have you ever questioned if you would go to hell? Welcome to the Abyss. Inside a black and white world, a small city controlled by a very sensitive and controlling government, there is one big mystery surrounding weird events and deaths caused by the same thing. And in the corner of the city, surrounded by a forest of only animals, no more humans, there is a bleak black hole, an abyss. But that is not the only hidden thing by the government. Of course not. There is one element that they hide that determines the destiny of the world. A calendar that reveals when the world will end. It's not know how they achieve that information, maybe a god considered it to them, and the date is also known by a selected group of people, even inside the government. It's really well hidden. But is there a way to find it out? And if so, how would you do it and who? This is with my friends, I present you the first characters of this story, Sylph Oliver Navi and his sister Cora. Sylph wakes up at his house, more specifically Junior's farm, his boss and a very powerful man. He wakes up his sister Cora and they are both warned by Junior that they, overslept. Sylph apologized and Cora doesn't really care, but they are both interrupted by three men wearing strange clothes on top of horses. They carry lances and shotguns, but they aren't here to start a conflict. No, they are here to bring a message. They are warned that on that day there was an important speech that the president would give, talking about nothing more than the calendar. Every once in a while, the government would make an event to reveal what day is that officially, since there isn't a constant way of tracking it down, it's not revealed as I said before. They all agree and they go. But while that happens, Raimundo wakes up in his house with his family. He as usual wakes up, very hungry and quickly goes visit his favorite restaurant, Big Green's Jonas restaurant. After a quick talk about several dumb and non-important things, they're warned about the event too, and go walk down the street together. At the path, Sylph, Junior and Cora, more specifically Cora cause she was running a bit too fast, bump down with Arthur and Sylph, very weirdly, pushes Arthur like it for some reason was his fault, trying to overprotect his sister. Arthur doesn't really care since he's way more interested in the speech, but why? Let me explain. Since the disappearance of his brother, Arthur has been very curious about trying to find out what happened, since he was near the abyss when it happened, and there was no traces found. His brother all investigated it and was kinda too into that subject, so his theory is that the government kidnapped him by knowing too much. During the speech, it's not only revealed what day is today, but that also the end is very near. Not specified when, but in some weeks, whatever would happen that I talk too much would happen, and that everyone should prepare themselves. After leaving that place, a bit too scary about what just happened, all of them actually turn out to talk a little bit and develop some kind of blooming friendship. Junior then invites them to a dinner and they accept. While Junior and Jonas cook, Cora, Raimundo and Arthur discuss about the abyss. Arthur talks about his brother and they mention some strange incidents and people relating to see weird creatures out there. And when Raimundo stands up to stretch his body, he notices something. Someone is looking at them through the window. But he quickly disappears. He relates to everyone what happens, they begin to get worried until a creature invades their house. It looks completely insane, nothing like that was ever seen before, and it attacks them. In screams, in rage. What the fuck is that? Sylph quickly grabs his knife and since he's a very good hunter, he quickly gets rid of it. Everyone's trying to understand what happened until someone knocks at the door. And the same people that warned them before are now there, pointing weapons at him. But why? They brought you into a territory and everything points as, well, they knew too much. Not only Arthur knew too much about the case, but they saw a creature. A real one. A policeman enters the room and he explained that there is no way they can even think of letting this spread. And they say that even though nothing is confirmed, they will, well. He brings them to a weird place and suddenly they are face to face with the abyss. Everyone's in panic. Sylph tries to break free, but they are all thrown down into the abyss, should never be seen again. But they survived. The air around this place is not pure at all, it's kinda difficult to breathe and it's very dark. Junior grabs a torch and they can finally look around and see where the hell are them. Nothing more than the abyss, as I said before a lot of times. Wandering around, they can see a couple of creatures similar to the one they saw before, but they hide to not really be seen by them too. Now there are a couple of questions at the table, like why are they there, what are these creatures, and what is this place, what is the abyss, what is the calendar? They don't seem to find any of those answers. Sylph and Cora decide to, well, hunt one of those creatures and they quickly battle with it, being victorious. While Raimundo and Junior begin to make a campfire and some kind of place to rest, and Arthur is, well, drawing what he sees in his notebook. They really seem to get out of this place, but they seem to be the only people in there, or at least, that is what they thought. After sleeping one night there, they decided to explore and they find a very interesting place. It seems like a house. They of course decide to enter it at... oh, there's someone. A person wearing torn off clothes and multiple bandages at his face is there. He quickly runs towards them and when he's about to punch Junior in the face, a group of teen enter the place. And he simply stops. They ask the guy with the bandages to get a little bit back and he seems reluctant but he follows it. Meet Jess, Mary and Norman. They introduce themselves and invite them to meet the village. This place is where a group of humans that lived their entire life in the abyss are. Tormented by the creatures that surrounded it, they formed this city/village and they managed to live a life that is close to comfortable. Of course not perfectly, this place is kinda rotting and, oxygen, where is it? But now, how did this happen and what the fuck is that? Well, Jess has an answer to it, or at least something close. Millions of years ago, humanity was blessed by a god with existence, and an empty world that before existed is now full of life, animals, plants. It's a beautiful place, isn't it? Time passed and there are many houses, objects, and, well, conflicts. Above all the awesome things that happened, there was always cruelty, chaos, death, and much more worse things. God was truly disappointed, but things couldn't just be like that. A punishment was needed. Said and done, the abyss was then born. Every human soul would have to deal with the consequences of their acts after death. Everyone would suffer what they did to others, to people, to animals, everything. Becoming creatures tormented by pain and suffering for the amount of time needed to purify their soul. But who knows that? Well, one person. One person good enough chosen by God to know the truth. And this person was a truly smart one. Smart enough to become a leader. Humanity concentrated itself on a very small and dense circle in the middle of the vast forest was there. And they become a single city, controlled by the few ones who know the truth. The ones that at that point weren't really as good as God before thought. Seeing that there was no salvation for this race, he went on a sleep for a big amount of time, letting humans to rot on their sins for a counted amount of days. A calendar was created, and when the last day finally came, the clock would tick for the last time. He would send one being to end humanity. Death would come. One day, accused of crimes that they didn't commit because they had discovered all this truth, some families were thrown down to the abyss by the people of the city in a form of punishment for their supposed crimes. But something happened. They didn't die. They began to live there in the hope of one day returning to the surface, creating the village underneath the ground. But is there one way of, well, preventing the end? Of becoming strong, fast and powerful enough to, well, destroy death? The one sent by God to end his life. This is what they questioned, and they didn't know that answer, but they would soon find out. After multiple days, weeks, months laying there training enough to become true warriors, The day had finally came, and they would finally face whatever the hell they needed. Standing at the front, a figure began approaching. It almost distorted reality around it. It felt unreal. Wearing a big mantle and a bag full of souls took for his power, and having a disgraceful face, he came to destroy you all. You will really try to fight back? Good luck facing him. Death is here. Pay for your sins. As you could tell, I really dedicated myself into making this RPG, and I made art and a soundtrack for it, so I couldn't just do a simple video about it. Here's a narrated fucking story about God, death, hell, and an underground village full of. I'll post the songs I made for it on my SoundCloud, which will be linked in the description, with my Twitter that you should absolutely follow. Leave a like and a comment, and if you enjoyed this video, even subscribe. This video ends in 30 seconds, so thanks for watching, and yeah, goodbye. He quickly, he quickly, he quickly, he